All right, I'll call this meeting to order. It is 7 p.m. Monday, March 4th, 2024. I'm going to read the land acknowledgement. The City of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawanaronk and the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The City of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands in which we live. So are there any declarations of interest? I see none. So we're going to adopt the agenda here. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Joe, and a seconder, Robert. Gotcha. Call the question. All in favor? Oppose? Carried. All right, so we have some correspondence. We do have 5.1 is
just Mr. Chair, if we can get to the minutes first.
Oh, apologies. Do I have the right the revised section in front of me? Thank you. We're going to adopt the minutes from PTRC 2-204. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Mr. Councillor Sentence, and a seconder. Yes, Joe, thank you. Call the question. All in favor? Oppose? All right. So we have our correspondence. Item 6.1, the budget for 2024. On January 30th, 2024, City Council passed the 2024 budget. Council added the items on the agenda that are related to this committee. Justin?
It's more just for information purposes and if anyone has any questions or comments.
Okay. Is there any questions, comments, about any of the items on the agenda that have been added? All right. Okay, item 6.2, committee vacancy. Zoran Radonovich has resigned from the committee. 6.3, CLC 11-2024. The committee's motion regarding Elite Collegiate Baseball League passed council on February 27, 2024, and was amended to direct staff to provide a detailed report on project timelines and financing. Any questions, comments, anyone? I know myself, I wasn't present for that, but I did watch it on council. It was fairly interesting. I would have voted in favor for it too. It sounds like it's something, be something fun. Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch that level of baseball. I mean, I do go watch the Anchors, the senior team play, and they do pretty well in the OVAs, and they do bring quite the crowd. So I could imagine a collegiate team bring just as many people. All right, item 7, committee business. Public Information Center for Sullivan Park update. I'm going to call on Dave for an update.
Hi, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. So I attended the recent PIC at City Hall for the Sullivan Park replacement. I think we had 4 people in attendance. Councillor Decker being one of those 4. It was nice to see her. Majority of the comments and concerns were all in favor of the playground replacement, as was displayed at that PIC. A couple of comments that were made was if we could include, there were some areas identified on the drawings, if we can include some additional features for the play structure. Unfortunately, we can't. So those are egress areas for the swings. So there's perimeters that need to be adhered to for the to and fro of the swing. So that was all taken into account. The other comment that was brought up that evening was regarding the height of the swings. And again, going back to the manufacturer of the swings, these are designed for children 5 to 12. The swing set that was there was a comment made about if we could raise the height an additional 2 feet. According to the manufacturer of the swings, these are designed for children 2 to 12. Because of the height that was established, that's what will go in place. So other than that, Councillor Decker was all in favor of the colors. If there's any Miami Dolphin fans out there, they matched the colors of the Miami Dolphins. So she was all in favor. Do not change the colors.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Does anyone have any questions? I do have one question, Dave.
Yep.
Are the existing swing sets remaining?
They are not, through you, Councillor, or through you, Mr. Chair. They are not going to remain. They've surpassed their life expectancy by many years. Unfortunately, our new playground designs include a soft landing, the to and fro swings, all-inclusive capabilities.
Mm-hmm. I just asked that question because the Beaver Dams Park that was just recently redone too, we, as a committee, asked to have the swing sets that were removed put back in. Because I do see the swing sets, but it's just a limited amount because you're removing, we're removing, what do they have there? 8 swings and you're replacing it with 3 or 4. I can't remember how many actual swing sets were on, but could they remain? To me, if you move that circle slightly to the southeast, it looks like they would still be usable.
Yeah. Sorry, through you, Mr.
No
Chair. We could look at the structural integrity of those swings. Like I said, they don't necessarily meet our park standards at the moment. I did bring with me a couple of quotes because I thought this comment may have come up, to include or to add the option to have new swings in place. They range between $18,000 and $21,000. So that can always be brought forth at council for consideration if that's the expectation of the committee here tonight.
My expectation was that's quite the price tag for a couple of additional swing sets that are already existing that are just going to be removed and decommissioned. I don't know. Does anyone else maybe it's just me that's thinking, but does anyone else have any comments or questions? Yes, Councillor Didavias.
Yeah, my concern is when you mix new with old, it starts looking junky. It doesn't fit in, cosmetic, and it looks cheap. I'd rather see new swings brought in if we need them, but definitely not keep the old ones. They're outdated, and there's safety issues on them. Because I know with the school board, my wife's a principal, they had to take their swings off for the same reasons, and that's why a lot of places don't keep them.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All right. I'm not going to make any recommendations. It doesn't sound like we have much interest in it. It's just, for me, it was just something that if we did it in a different park that we do it. But anyways, is there any further questions? Anyone? No? Okay. I will move on to the next point. So 7.2, small nets for Frank Doherty Arena. So this was an item, again, that I had put on to the agenda. Currently, when you play anything that is U9 and under, which is U9, U8, and hockey school and U7, kids use a half-size hockey net. We have 2 of them in the Thorold Arena. So when you have a game, you have 2 games going on at the same time. One side of the ice is using a small net. The other side of the ice is using a large net. The nets, they're not very expensive. They're a couple $100 a piece. We go to different centers, whether it's Norfolk or Glencaster or anywhere in the loop that where we play hockey. Either the teams have the 2 full nets or they have 2 half nets. Typically it's 2 half nets at that age because kids are, 3-4 feet tall, and a hockey net is like the size of a soccer net. So to give the kids a fighting chance, the small nets have been implemented to have, a greater success with your goalies. And we all know if you don't have goalies that are any good and don't want to play, you're typically not going to have as many kids wanting to play that position. And I know just from coaching in hockey that there's a shortage of goalies. It's anywhere you go. But for me, I was just wondering if we could somehow direct, say, city staff, say Jacob or someone to maybe look into the possibility of what kind of funding would be needed for adding an additional 2 half-size nets through you, Justin, I guess that goes to Jacob. Okay, Dave.
Dave, did you want to speak first just because your hand was up there?
Sure. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I do have a couple of quotes here. So I've reached out to 2 different companies, one local, one not so local. So the cost for purchase of 2 nets range from, on the low end, excluding delivery, is $1,851. And on the high end is $2,316, including delivery and pegged nets. So it includes the melt-in-place pegs for the nets. So I can provide those estimates to this committee.
Is that per net or is that for 2 nets?
That's for 2 nets.
Okay, so they're like $500 a piece-ish. 6.
Through you, Mr. Chair. One is one quote, $732 each net. So for 2 nets, $1,465. Then for the pegs, 4 pegs at $185 for a grand total of $2,316. The local company, the non-local company, 1 pair of red powder coated Tyke hockey frames, size 3 feet by 5 feet, $1,036.62. That does not include the netting itself. So the netting is another $178 for them to string it. And then $269 for a set of 4 pegs, melt-in-place pegs.
Okay. One thing that is definitely needed 100% is an additional 4 pegs, because when you play half ice hockey, there's always 4 nets on the rink, and the 2 nets that aren't located at the ends are just moving around the ice, and the ref is constantly going over, pushing the nets back, and it takes away from actually watching the game and seeing what's going on. But I see Councillor Didevice, you have your hand up.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Chair. I agree. We definitely do need those 2 additional nets. My son played hockey through his whole career, and you got to use as much ice surface as possible. But maybe we can ask for a sponsor to put their logo across the crossbar for like $500 just to cash some money and bring down the cost for the nets. Maybe Big Red will do it, or somebody in the community. I don't know. But we definitely need the nets, and I agree with you 100%.
Thank you. Jacob, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to mention, too, that I did speak to Kathy from the Thorold Amateur Athletic Association, Thorold Minor Hockey. It was my understanding that the 2 nets that previously are in the arena were purchased and owned by Minor Hockey. So they might have some interest in purchasing or going in on the purchase as well if we were going to supply 2 more.
Okay. Dave, I see you with your hand up.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So although these smaller nets are not a requirement by Hockey Canada, I've had some preliminary conversations with minor hockey, with the TAA. We've come to a sort of a amicable agreement that, we'll have further conversation about the purchase of 2 additional nets. So our season is winding up this year, but we will have that conversation with minor hockey
Okay.
to make sure we have nets purchased for next year.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions? Ken?
No, this all sounds good. I think we need them too. I don't mind, Dave, down the road if, you know, going to council and if we got to put some skin in the game too to get a couple nets. So keep that in the conversation if you don't mind. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Okay, I will move on to item 7.3, Thorold Soccer Fields. So again, another agenda item that is near and dear to my heart because we are practicing right now at the Monsignor Clancy Our Lady of Holy Rosary Gymnasium. Balls bounce all over the place. It's fun. It's great. It's a place for us to play soccer in the winter. Now, when our insurance or our time is up in May, we have to go outside to practice. And we know our soccer fields typically aren't open in May just because, you know, they're wet, they're not cut, there's no lines, or city staff isn't fully staffed at that point to provide to provide grass cutting and all the things that are needed. Is there any way that, this is through you, Justin, to Dave, that we can maybe somehow connect with Brock University and somehow get access to their turf fields in May for practice? I mean, it wouldn't be one team at a time. It would be, you know, 2-3 teams. This is the first year that we're sort of running travel teams at a U8 level because we're trying to keep the kids here. Typically, I've been watching it since my daughter was 3 because I've been coaching there. Every time you get a decent amount of good players, you start getting them good, all of a sudden they're off to Club Roma, they're off to the Titans, they're off everywhere else because we don't really have these amenities to keep our children in our city playing sports here. Is there a way that we can connect with Brock? That's kind of my question. That's through you, Justin, to Dave.
Thank you again, through you, Mr. Chair. It's definitely something we can have conversations about, and Jacob may be able to speak to that a little more in depth. But I can assure you, with thanks to the council that's in place this year and some of the council members that are in this committee, we've been granted the additional staff complements. So we're hoping, weather permitting, we'll have our fields open a lot earlier this year. In the event that we can't due to weather, I think we can have those conversations, look at costing that may occur to have our teams practice at Brock University. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments? Questions? Councillor Sentence.
Yeah, to you, Mr. Chair, and through everyone else. We are looking at, like, seriously looking into a turf field of some sort as well. As you saw earlier in here, that we're putting money towards looking into it. So we know there's a problem. Gene. Yep,
I saw the presentation.
The May is just a nightmare, and we lose players. So there could be something coming down the pipeline that in the future that could solve this. So
yeah, we go and we see it out behind Brock, and it's like, man, if we could just have like one day a week and we could bring all 3 of the travel teams at the same, you only need really the end zone of the field to practice with a group of 10 kids. So it's not like it's one team per field every hour and it's going to be an enormous rate. It would be 2-3 teams, or 2 or 4 teams depending how you're going to run your practices, playing at the same time. Then that gets you out in May. That gets you that could have got you out there today. Like, it doesn't have to be a certain time of the year. It could be, if there's no snow on the ground, the field's open and it's ready to go. And I think that's why council has put aside that chunk of money so they can start investing in it, because they can see that it is a need and it's definitely needed. And all right, well, I mean, is there any other further comments or questions regarding that? All right, I see none. Okay. So we're going to go to point 8, the round table discussion. Is there any round table discussions anyone has that they want to bring up? Like to chat about? Yes, Robert.
I got a question here. Somebody could fill me in. On Barron Road, there's the Wayne E. Hodgkins Park. Is anybody familiar with this park, and does it belong to the city? Is it a privately run park? I know they play rugby there. I can tell you that. But is it private? Does anybody know anything about this park?
Justin, I think that's through you to Dave. Yes, Dave.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. My understanding, the city does not own that land, and it is a private space for rugby. And I think at times they use it as a cricket pitch as well.
Okay, I pass it quite often. I mean, personally, I've never seen it being used, but that doesn't mean it's not being used. I mean, I'm just with some clarity that it does not belong to the city. That's fine. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Device.
Chair, I always driving by Beaver Dams Park, and that those facilities are always being used, that little playground there. And is there any way we can push to get a splash pad there? Because there's a ton of people on that all the time. Even today, there are people out there playing. And that'd be great for the park and bring more families to that park.
No, sounds a good idea to me. I mean, the another dimension to the market that's going to be starting up soon, somewhere for the kids to go play.
Yeah, so they can cool down in the summertime.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we can bring to council or our committee.
Councillor Sentence?
I think it is on the radar already, but if it doesn't hurt to
Give it a
remind us to look into it. So I don't know what you're looking for, Councillor Devitis, but sounds good to me.
But would you want to make a motion, or do you want to make something to get a kind of a report or something to get council to push city staff here?
To push it, to take a look at it, a reminder.
Okay.
'Cause I think it'll be a big home run there. People love it. And then, like I said, it's always gets used, that park there like crazy.
Yep. I grew up across the street, just like yourself. We grew up on opposite ends of the park there. A
lot of memories.
Yep, that's for sure. Okay, do you want to make a motion, and we can, or can we make a motion during round table, or does that have to be formally put on an agenda, or can we vote to have a motion put forward?
Yeah, that's fine. We can motion that as well.
Okay. Do you want to? What's your motion there, Councillor Device?
To take a serious look at this and see if we can get it up and running and get it in motion, and maybe get the plans drawn up or get some consultant on it and to see it come to life somehow.
Okay. Justin.
So yeah, my suggestion could be that council directs staff to report on the potential adding of a splash pad at Beaver Dams Park would be a suggestion.
Perfect.
Yep. All right, so I think that motion is on the floor. Do we want to vote? Do I have a mover? Yes, Councilor. And a seconder? Joe and Cheryl, thank you. So let's vote. All in favor? Oppose? That's carried. Thank you, Councillor. Any other items for discussion on the round table? Yes, Sean.
I think a question was put forward last week regarding parks omitted from the city website.
Okay.
I believe the Gil Gordon Park in Rolling Meadows is not on the website.
Okay.
That was Ms. Stickles, I think, had asked that.
Yeah, I'll pass that along to Natalie. Thanks.
Right, thank you. any other roundtable suggestions? This is kind of the time to do it because we are, as everyone's seen the weather today, it's it's starting to get nice. They're going to be out there in full force in a little while and working away. So if we want them to do something right now, and I believe our next meeting would be a really good time to start pushing anything that we want to see done this year. Otherwise, I feel it would be waiting till next. So, Councillor Didavice, question?
Through Mr. Chair, you know, for the soccer, I was just thinking maybe ask Sir Winston if you can use their field. A lot of the Thorold kids go to Sir Winston.
True.
We feed that school.
Yeah, and there's more than one. There's quite a bit of turf fields around. I mean, everywhere except Thorold. So, there. I mean, the Young's facility, the complex. There's a place in Welland. I just thought to myself, because like we have Canada Games Park there, and it's just right around the corner. It's nice and close. But yeah, any one of these places, if city staff could somehow just make a few phone calls just to see what is the going rate, like an hourly rate of what it would cost, would be fantastic. And so Dave, so that's something that Dave, you're going through you, Justin, to Dave. So that's something that's already sort of in the conversation with them, or do we have to put a motion to have city staff do that? Not sure how it works.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. We could definitely look at the cost of renting with the probability of some time and some spaces for Brock University for the Canada Games facility. We could bring back the results of those findings to this committee. And I think at that point, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we would need to ask for subsequent funding to meet those requirements.
Yeah. Yes, Justin.
So yeah, I think at this point, they can just be taken as staff direction. Jacob and Dave or his department can just look into potential prices, report back here.
Yeah.
And if it is something that staff feels is something we can do, or the committee thinks we can do, then we get council direction from that point.
Well, and some of these soccer teams do have sponsorship, they have fundings, they have these sort of things. So I just don't know how, if they were going to do it on their own, would they have to go through, like, I'm not sure though all the processes and procedures of how to rent those fields. Like, I know how to rent the ice at the arena, but how do you rent a turf field off of Sir Winston Churchill or at Brock? Is there a different process? Like, I know you can rent the pool at Brock. I mean, can you rent their turf field? If there's an easier way that, I mean, maybe you can add that into for the city staff to, if there is no funding, how would we as a soccer club go about doing that? Yes, Jacob. Did you have your hand up, Jacob?
Sorry, I'm just struggling with the microphone. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can for sure call Brock and look into Sir Winston just to see what the price would be. Typically, just to kind of elaborate on the process for booking for Canada Games. For example, for the track, we book it and then it's open to the public. So that might be one route. If council wanted Thorold to book time there, we could book so many hours there and then work on allocating it to groups. Or it may just be easier if certain groups wanted to book time. It might just be easier for them to book directly through the facility, but I can for sure look into the prices and how that process might work.
Yeah, but the one thing we can't confuse is the Canada Games with the actual Brock, because I think they're two separate entities, with the Canada Games facility and the turf fields that are located in behind Brock University. So,
right, the Brock turf fields are separate completely.
Yeah, the Canada Games field in the middle is actually grass; it's not turf. But that's because they have javelin. So, yes, Councillor Didavice.
Through your chair, for Jacob. Jacob, we have to get insurance for this too, right? That's going to be the big one, eh? If we bring our teams in there.
Thank you. Yeah. So if the team was booking directly through the facility, they might just be purchasing insurance directly through the facility at the same time. It would probably be a little bit different of a process if it was the City of Thorold booking and then subsequently allocating it to the teams to use.
Because I rented the facilities at high schools before, and they're pretty cheap to rent. So hopefully that'll work out.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments, or any other items for the round table? I only see 6 of us on the camera, so if there's anyone else that has their hands up, I may not. One? Okay. All right. Our next meeting is April 8th, 2024. And being no further business, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:30. Thank you.